Welcome to Rom Wills Money Matters. Being skilled in many areas is great for making money. I'm gonna tell you what, in my last episode, I talked about mass layoffs. I'm gonna tell you what, and I always joke about having 1,000 jobs, but I do have a lot of skills. And I've even said that about what I do on here. Because even though I'm known for doing videos and everything, my main business is still publishing. But if something, I don't know where to cut back here or something like that, I still have jobs other way. I still have other ways to make money. In fact, I could just give this up and just work on some books and stuff like that, right? Or do some vending. I've been doing vending. I've talked about that. I worked retail, worked as a merchandiser for retail. I could hit up like some store or something, say, hey, I can merchandise and all of that. You want to have multiple skills in many areas, especially nowadays. It's trust me, the job market with layoffs both for the government, for the private industry. The more skills you have, the better. The more skills you have, you can just go right to something else. Like, I'll use myself for an example again. I still get emails from this wholesale place that sells I would say out of season luxury clothing. And I actually had a plan a few years ago. I was actually thinking about it. I was like, oh, you know what? I could get a little warehouse, inexpensive warehouse and ship stuff out. Thinking about hitting up different flea markets or something, just starting selling some of these luxury shirts and all of that, like polos and gaiters and all of that. I still get emails from the place where I can get them from too. Like if I were to buy something, I can't just buy, I have to buy a whole pack. Of course, I'm going to sell them, but I have experience doing that. Or even setting up a retail brick and mortar someplace, like selling them or something, It was like if something happened here, and something did happen. I remember a few years ago, the last full-time job I had was actually working at this retail department store. And shoot, I could have went far in it. But I remember I was ready to go full time, but then that's when they had the ad apocalypse on YouTube. That was back in March 2017. I remember when it happened because I was ready to go. I was ready, giving my 2 weeks notice and everything. All of a sudden, there was some big problems with people making money. And trust me, back then people were making money like crazy. Probably not the same amount now. But the the ad apocalypse just meant people were cutting back on their ads. And I still had something. Now, I still had that skill doing merchandise and everything. And merchandisers make a lot of money. Plus knowing stuff about retail, not just from working in retail, but vending and everything. And I would just say, I have no problem saying skilled at vending. Always made money vending. There was still places I could hit or something like that, really selling stuff. I know how to sell stuff to people, Or even if I didn't want to sell anybody else's stuff, I could probably hit some places and be a salesman, whatever. I'm not worried about it. That's the thing. I joke about those 1,000 jobs, but then I can always find something to make a decent living. Some are going to bring me more money than others, but it's very important. I'm going to tell you what, it's very important for you to have skills in multiple areas. Like you starting a business, right? The majority of people who start a business, especially solopreneurs, got to work someplace else too. Very, very, very few people start a business and they making money right away. So they might start a business, but they have to still put some hours in, maybe part-time, sometimes full-time, with some other business. They might do something. They might have to still work for somebody until they can get to the point they can work full time in what they're doing. In fact, I knew this young lady who actually worked with this guy I knew, and they both had businesses, but then they both worked for this particular company. It was one of those phone companies. And I understood it, I didn't look down on them, but their main thing was the business, and they're working for somebody else. I would call that a day job. Because when I did it, it was just a day job. I was still making money because before I got online, my main business was publishing, but I still had the skill to work other places. The main thing was still publishing, but I wasn't making enough to cover everything. I was getting some money, but not enough to cover everything. But I had those skills in different areas. You might be somebody who can cook real well, it could work something. And there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people who do that. They'll have two different jobs and they are two totally different skill sets, but they can do it. But being skilled is a great way to always bring in money. It's very important because a lot of people get in trouble when they don't have the skills. Like you got all these mass layoffs and everything, in the government, in the private industry. And, some people skilled in something else, they just like, oh, okay, this is slightly inconvenient, but we can do something else. But everybody isn't. Everybody isn't. Somebody might get laid off and that might be their only skill. And, even going to school or anything, that can cost some money. It's a lot to it, but it's a great way when you have that. In fact, what I would tell young people is, you might want to have a business or something like that, but whatever you're doing, learn it well. Learn it well. It's a learning experience. You might not like it, but you never know when you might have to use those skills again. Like I said, if something were to happen with this, or even, let's just say YouTube just, had something. And that's actually happened with a platform I had. And just switched to something else. That's why I have multiple platforms, multiple income streams for that reason. But if I just get tired of just doing videos or something like that, I already know I can get a decent paying job. Just from the skills, sales skills, starting a business in retail, selling like retail clothing and all of that, And still, even in the future, one of the visions I have is having a bookstore. I want to be that 90-year-old man just sitting back, chilling, giving some game in my bookstore. But I got the skills for it. And, and I'm just talking about myself, but develop multiple skills. Even if you don't really need it, that's why I say even in cases you don't need it, get that part-time job. That's your fun money and everything, but you also get skills. Because I always talk about that lady who was a second mother to me, may she rest in peace. She was working for the DC city government doing something. She was making good money, but then her part-time job was just cleaning buildings and stuff. And she got to the point she was making a lot of money. Whatever you do, hey, especially in these times, you got to be skilled in multiple areas. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. Don't be to the point where you lose a job in one area and then you're in trouble. Don't be to that point. Learn as many skills as you can. Be able to go in different places just like that, And I want y'all to think about that. So until then, y'all know the deal. Let's go make that money.